That's the worst, man.
Yeah.
Unprepared, like you said.
Yeah, man. I mean,
that's why I was actually thinking about getting some land somewhere, man.
Yeah, I mean
we all should, bro.
We all
honestly.
should.
We talked about going in on land before, man. And just start doing. We have to learn how to farm it, but
definitely. I'm very interested in that because it's time. I mean, I think we could get several acres, and just kind of nurture it, and man, because we have no idea what's going on, man.
Yeah, man.
Any given day, it could be something.
That's right.
Something new. So
that's right.
Yeah, that's where my mind is kind of probably been here and there.
That's how I've been. Honestly, I've been thinking that as well, man.
Yeah. I
mean, because like once again, like people so caught up on social media and doing many other things, man. That's not important, dude.
Yeah, getting internet famous.
Yeah, man. That stuff ain't important, man.
Nah, man, not at all. I mean, that's what I love about the film. Don't Look Up. Because everybody was so distracted, and the comment was definitely coming. Yes. Nobody really believed it,
right?
Yeah.
And it was just hilarious because not even the president took it seriously,
Right.
So
I know, man.
It just was classic. That's an instant classic to me,
for sure.
So yeah.
What do you all think is the most real threat that exists? And I'm not trying to just do fear porn kind of stuff, right? But what do you all think is like the biggest? Biggest real threat we should be kind of thinking of or trying to prepare for?
Well, since they didn't get us with these last couple of attempts over these few years, I would definitely say we got to watch out for the water.
Yeah.
Because honestly, if you put a drop of something in the water, it's a wrap.
Yeah. I
mean, honestly, water and data.
Yeah.
Data, from what I understand right now, data is more valuable than oil.
It's crazy.
So
that's crazy.
That's something we got to really think about. So like even when it comes down to things like what is it? Like the Ancestry.com.
Hold on, brother.
What's up, man?
Yo.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, good. Yeah,
we look tired.
Yeah, man. They got that face like, I'm here, bro.
But
yeah, man.
We got tissue right there, too.
This guy gave us a butt.
My bad. My bad.
Yeah, so like you think about like Ancestry.com, that's a data collection.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
I mean, anything. I was just telling them like, right now, data is more valuable than oil.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So any way they can get your information, man, I'm talking about your history and everything.
Right.
They can kind of plot.
Right.
And kind of, use that possibly to their advantage.
Well, not possibly, right? Because that's it was a guy, I'm just gonna say he worked in a covert U.S. military branch.
Yeah.
And was very keen at getting access to information that people didn't want him to have.
Yeah.
And a Russian special agent, secret agent, whatever, came out a couple decades afterwards, and they were kind of just interviewing him. I think he had defected and was a U.S. citizen or was doing work in the U.S. or something like that, and they're basically asking him what their methods are. He was asking him, I think specifically, have you ever killed any high profile targets in the U.S. and what basically are U.S. methods in doing it? He's saying we researched the medical history.
Wow.
And after researching the medical history and finding out what medications they take, it's very easy, once you know a person's medical history and medication regimen, to plot out a way to kill that person and make it look like it was natural causes or overdose. Whatever, one of the conditions that they have that kind of just flared up and took them.
Yeah.
And that's how they killed him. He said we basically found out what medications he was taking, what conditions he had, and I think he died officially of some kind of heart condition. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And they were like, we messed with his medication. You know
that's
what I mean?
real.
Yeah.
I've worked on a couple of different contracts for the medical industry. So a few years ago was Ascension, now on AbbVie Pharmaceuticals. Now with Ascension, when I was there in 18 or 19, they had that year, man, some serious hacking problems. And I was talking to somebody about it, and they were like, bro, everybody's trying to hack into medical systems. It's really out of hand now. And so they have really embraced two-factor authentication because that's the best loop, where they can't really get in.
Right.
And, of course, password resets and complicated passwords. That's literally it. If people do their wife's name, for everything for 10 years, they getting hacked.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So what they trying to do now, hackers, I'm gonna start listening to that podcast that I sent you, Darknet Diaries.
Right.
Because it's actual legit hackers and they're looking to do time.
Right.
And they're looking at facing time, and the guy that runs that podcast, he gets in touch with them and talks to him about what they've been doing. Like these guys have taken down some major corporations,
for sure.
and they're like, man, it's really easy because people are creatures of habit,
right?
And once you tap into their habits by looking in, say for example, email accounts and stuff, you can get in somebody's email account, you can definitely hack them. But they were just saying how you can call somebody up and just act like you're IT, you know what I'm saying, and get some information from them, get their IP address, and get into the computer, man.
Right.
So, because our discussion we're talking about is, he asked us, what do you think is the most immediate threat right now? Like, what the immediate threat we're facing right now. So I said between water and data,
As individuals or as society?
Society, yeah, as a whole.
Big picture.
Yeah.
Grand scale.
So I'm thinking like, you put a drop of something in water, man, it's a wrap. That's just without question. I mean, they already testing it here and there. I mean, they got Flint. Maryland's got a thing where somebody put E. coli in their water.
These are the ones we know about.
These are the ones we know about, right?
Right.
Who was it? Was it Mississippi?
St. Louis.
St. Louis.
St. Louis is one.
Yep, and these are all, they all have something in common.
Syphilis. The syphilis.
No. The residents, they.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they tell they test everything on us. But so we're saying water and definitely data. So tapping into your data. I mean, dude, we're so vulnerable because I started my cybersecurity course, and we're so vulnerable, man. There's so many ways we can be attacked. I mean, your credit cards, assume it all. I mean, you got to have some cash on hand. Definitely gold and silver because those can be bartered. Cigarettes, liquor, those can be bartered. It's one other thing that could be bartered because when money doesn't matter anymore, if you have a little bit of crypto, you might be able to mess around with that. But you need things you can barter. You know what I'm saying? And cigarettes, because we've thought about buying like cartons of cigarettes and just having them.
I thought about that. That's a good idea.
Yeah, man, you can barter a cigarette because people they won't eat, man. But they'll get some cigarettes.
Right.
If you got liquor, certain types of liquor, if you can barter that, especially in the black community. I was thinking about getting Hennessy, but Mad Dog, get some malt liquor.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, it's things you can barter, but. The thing is, man, why I love talking about this, I talk with my wife, we talk a lot about it. And, you and I have talked about it. It's because ultimately, it's nothing you really can do, right? But you definitely don't want to be blindsided.
Right.
So my thing is, you can prepare just as best as you can. Just make it even fun. Like, I'm going to just prepare, just because you never know. I mean, get everything that you need to defend yourself. Make sure you can eat, make sure you have water. Like, I buy cases of water, like, at Costco, they have, or BJ's, they have little 8-ounce bottles. You can get a 70-pack for like $6.
Okay.
So I got a stack of those in the basement. Even if we don't drink it all, you can use it for something.
Yeah, for sure.
First aid kits, things like that.
Yep.
Because man, it could really get out of pocket.
Definitely.
I mean, you got to think about what you would want to eat, what animals you'd be willing to kill, what you would be willing to grow.
Right.
Things like that.
Right.
So because people are going to panic and freak out, especially the generations.
Yeah.
The generations I would say right behind us definitely probably won't even know,
right?
Because they're like their thing is like just trying to get internet famous.
Yeah.
So
which is actually that's my answer to the question at hand. What's the greatest threat that we're facing is to me the greatest threat is distraction.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, man.
That's the greatest threat because then it's easy to. You don't even have to be super. Covert or subversive or anything like that. If you got somebody distracted, like you said, this generation has no idea what's happening behind the scenes.
If we went to war right now, and they needed to draft somebody,
oh man, they would be looking at us.
Right. Yeah, I'm like, I'm not going to pass a fit test.
Right.
I
don't think any of us will.
You're not going to get me on the front line. I'm not doing it.
Right.
But yeah, man. I mean, it's ways you got to think about defending yourself. I mean, I have a crossbow.
Oh yeah.
My thing is, because if you need to get some food, man. I mean, you don't want to necessarily a gun or anything. So crossbow could get a deer. We got deer around us. I can smash some deer. I mean, you know what I'm saying? If I had to. Yeah. I asked my wife what she could eat. I'm like, would you? We got to do raccoons. I mean, you got to think about these things.
I would do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You got to think about it's a possibility. Yeah, like.
Yep.
I got a small garden. I've reduced because this is a lot of work. I know how to maintain a garden, but but that's something you just kind of want to play around with. Even if you just do a 4x4, throw some soil in it, just throw some tomatoes and seeds in there and stuff, just to see because it'll grow fast. Yeah, just to see, the process and kind of train yourself because as long as we're here, and I do believe in our lifetime, we might have to face something like that.
Sure.
We're still young enough to where we might have to face something like another lockdown because, they tested it these past couple of years or whatever. And people definitely rebelled against it in that second year. People was like, I got to get my hair and nails done. You saw that on the news. And this is like, people are crazy. So I think also, though, speaking of biggest threats, I think people just around you are a problem. I would worry more about the people that are around me than any of the national threats. You know what I'm saying? Because people are
domestic threats.
Yeah, they're crazy, man.
Are you saying people around you as far as your circle, or are you saying people around you just neighbors and
crazy neighbors?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, crazy neighbors, man. It's people.
Absolutely.
It's people with like tigers and lions. They're raising like alligators and stuff. I'm like, what are you doing with that in the neighborhood?
You're absolutely right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so it's just some really strange people out there, and it's several documentaries you can watch that'll tell you that. The dude next door can be a Jeffrey Dahmer.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
He was the dude next door for somebody at some point.
With heads in the freezer and everything. So you got to think of that kind of mentality out there. So how will I defend my wife? In some instances, my children. How would you defend them? What lengths are you willing to go to? Now I have in my mind, I've told my wife this. I was like, I have in my mind the lengths I'm willing to go to. I know you do. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to have that in your mind. Like, what am I willing to do? Because, we still live around certain people that we know we probably wouldn't be able to trust. So you got to just say to yourself, what if somebody want to come to my door? What am I willing to do? And all of that to me is just like, just mentally preparing. You pray to God none of that ever happens. But you definitely don't want to be in a mindset where you're like panicking. You can't think. You know what I'm saying? Your wife got to see you flipping out, So that's where I'm at, bro. And you sit and think about these things. Like, man, I'm willing to, I'll defend myself.
Absolutely.
So, you have to, what it is, you have to prepare your mind ahead of time.
Definitely. That's where I'm at.
Like seriously, constantly think if this may happen. What would I do?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I already told Tamara, I said get some self-defense courses. I was stressed when I was telling you. I was like, since you know a little bit of martial arts, man, start training the kids. That, you know what I mean? Because self-defense, man, is always a good thing to have.
It's imperative.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I befriended a jiu-jitsu guy. He's awesome. He's a black belt, black guy. Really, we're good friends now, and he does kids classes. He does classes for women and stuff like that. So that's you don't even got to with jiu-jitsu. You don't have to do it long. They just kind of show you how the moves and things, how to stretch, and it's all about defense. Like just defending yourself. You don't have to really even work hard. You got to be in shape, but So it's good for the ladies to know that.
Yeah, definitely.
And so that's. But to answer your question, I think so you made a good point. So the immediate threats, I think water data. But you definitely said distractions. I think distractions, man, are the mental cancer of society today. Really. Because there are 1,000,001 distractions that could throw you off your game at any second of the day. And that's what we have to be constantly mindful of is like, what are they showing me on the news? That doesn't even make sense. Like one moment they'll talk about a massacre, like a shooting at a school, and then they're like, in other news, Tesla's coming out with their new, it's like, these guys are crazy. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I've seen
extremes, right?
Yeah, it's like extremes. And then it takes you on this mental roller coaster. It's like, you'll see something like the January 6th thing, and then they're talking about a new sale at Costco. Then, it's like, what's going on? Right. So it's immediate distractions. And then you keep y'all mixed up. And then you have your phone, you got your laptop, you got your computer, you got your TV. So man, you're right. It's you got like 1 million streaming services now within the last 5 years.
That's why they say it's like the media. That's why they call it the media circus because no matter where you look. So if you think of a circus, the 3-ring circus. The standard model is you got something happening here that you can look at, something happening here, something happening here. No matter where you're looking, there's action, there's movement, there's entertainment.
Yeah, and then you got different industries of circuses. Like you got the church, and then you got I love making people listen. You listen attentively. They're like, "What are you talking about?"
Right. They come out of left field with a baseball bat.
Yeah, man. It's kind of some truth to it, man.
There literally are distractions in every facet of our of our existence. Whether we are religious people, whether we're not, whether we are mothers, fathers, children, workers. Whatever you do, there's something that's aimed specifically at you to distract you
all the time, bro.
Definitely.
Which is why I think it's so dangerous. And there are people who are actively, companies, corporations that are actively finding ways they study the human mind to find ways to trigger us into being addicted to these distractions.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. And everybody, what Ted DiBiase say, everybody has their price.
Yep.
That's right. Everybody has, it's like a flavor of distraction for literally everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I mean, so yeah, it's so it's imperative that we just kind of these kind of discussions help kind of reel that in a little bit. You know, like through the week we're distracted with work, family, whatever.
Sure.
But, you know, you have these discussions that we can broadcast and kind of just get people to kind of talking and thinking. Yeah. Because, dude, it's so much there's so much that the news doesn't even show us. Right. The stuff that the news shows us, because they pick and choose what they want to.
It's curated.
If they want to talk about. I mean, they just tell you whatever they want to talk about. Right. Like shootings and stuff. It's a million shootings happening.
But you got to be there's a lot of conspiracy guys out there that actually they recognize the terminologies and different things like that in the news to make them go search, right? Yeah. Like you have some cats out there that was watching the World Trade Center back in, was it 92 when the explosion happened in the basement? Yeah. And they were able to look and see, ask the questions why. Yeah. And then when it happened in 2001, 9/11, when it happened in 2011.
9,011.
I said, did I say 9,011?
What year is that? What date is that?
Right.
He had some cats that was actually able to tie many stories together.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's crazy, ain't it?
But the thing is like once again, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, man. But when you start seeing people go down that rabbit hole. And go asking questions about Bin Laden, you know, and all these things, it had nothing to do with that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Or what? Or and that's what I hate. Is that another distraction? You know what I'm saying?
Oh, you mean to chase down theories and stuff?
Exactly. Yeah. To chase down theories and all these different subjects or whatever the case may be. And where do you end up?
Well, it's a goal. It's got to be a goal to it. Because you can get scattered.
Yeah.
You can get scattered. But I think if you have a certain focal point, you mess around, you're going to find out some stuff you actually probably don't want to know.
Yeah.
But you're going to find out some things. So I think it's okay to ask questions. Like, to me, conspiracy theories are fun and engaging for discussion. I don't always take everything seriously. Yeah. But they're kind of fun because what it does is it gets your wheels turning. You find out what other people know, and then you can kind of link what you know with it. Yeah. You know, I'm talking about factual stuff, not just memes and stuff. You know, like real stuff.
But you know, as you're saying, like there's seminars out there that talks about society, the economy, all these things, what to look out for. Yeah. This is what happened back in 1200 or whatnot, and it's happening now. I mean, these conversations are going on like right now, and you and I are going to work.
Well, if you think about it,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
If you think about it, information is one of the most powerful tools that we could possibly have.
Gold, man.
The more you know, the more influence you have over your own life, over the situation that you find yourself in. Yeah. You know, there's the scripture, and all I get an understanding. If there's something that's happening in front of me, and I, look to mainstream media to give me one side of the story, and I say, something about that doesn't quite sit right with me, then I can go off and, look at this book or from these texts or manuscripts or go watch this video or so on. And as I learn more, I can make better decisions about how I'm going to. So for instance, the jab, right? Of course, looking back now, most people who have their eyes open look at it like, yeah, that was kind of useless. It was something else to it that it wasn't what they said that it was, right? Yeah. It may have helped some people. I'm sorry, y'all, my allergies are killing me. So I got this. I'm trying to hide it from the camera, but I got this every time I keep dabbing my nose with it. But anyway, it wasn't exactly what it was purported to be, right? Yeah. There may have been some value to it, who knows? But I know, or I have understood, and this is where it goes from me studying for myself versus just turning on CNN and listening to what they say and just being a friend of mine calls it the baby bird syndrome, where you just close your eyes, open your mouth, and whatever mama bird brings in, that's what you consume.
That's right, man. It's most people.
So I find myself not being that guy. I might see what the mainstream media might present to me, but then I'm going to go and say, okay, well, it seems a little weird to me, so let me go do a little more research and let me go study this, or let me go listen.
That's brilliant. History has taught me that.
Yeah,
sure. It taught me not to be a follower.
Exactly.
If nothing else, just don't be a follower.
Like, exactly.
Research it for yourself. If you wanted to get that, more power to you.
Yeah.
But for me personally, I got all kinds of stuff.
That's right.
I mean, we could talk about the reasons why not to do that.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah. And
sure.
And so going from 2019, 2020 to today, a lot of people who were really gung ho about it are looking back like, man, maybe there was some truth to some of those conspiracy things. Yeah. And so when conspiracies turn out to be true, or conspiracy theories rather turn out to be true, that gives some validation to the people who are looking and saying, I want to see behind the veil. You know what I mean? And so that's just the way I look at it.
And I think calling it a conspiracy theory is the distraction.
It is.
Because a lot of times, pretty good. When you got guys out there that seem like they're fringe, crazy type dudes, those be the ones. I mean, look, we've seen it in films, in movies. Yeah. They always take the crazy dude in the corner, tapping on his computer and make it like he's crazy, but then he's the one with the answer to the film, to the secrets in the film. But the powers that be, they know that the secrecy that they hold relies on his sheep. You know what I'm saying? The sheep are the actual key to keeping everything flowing. Like you said, the baby bird. Sheep, you rely on them to run away. And if you can get people to do that and just be scared, because I know people that had got that, and I was surprised. Like, you let them scare you like that? Like, you can't let every little thing scare you. Now, granted, you take things that are serious, you take them in that context as being serious, but then there are other things you take with a grain of salt. Because everything is designed to make us scared, especially us as our people. It's definitely designed to scare us. We, like the discussions I've been in, I've had to doubt sometimes if some of the people that passed away, especially like celebrities and stuff, actually passed away from what they said they passed. For sure. You know what I'm saying? All day. Because if you can convince people that all these celebrities are dying from that one particular thing, then people are really going to get scared. Right. Any way you can feed the fear machine, man, just keep throwing information in it and just it's spewing out into the public, then that's what they do. And they try everything, bro. I mean, they will try anything. Stuff that sounds ridiculous. Right. And if you really you don't even have to have the aptitude to even read between the lines. If you just sit there and listen, you'd be like, that doesn't even make sense. Right. I can remember when the campaign, when the orange guy was campaigning for presidency, right? The orange and this guy, his entire campaign, my wife and sat and watched the entire campaign, and we were like, this guy's absolutely making no sense. I don't know if we're just not getting it.
He make not a single coherent thought.
Yeah, I'm like, but what is he, and I'm like, how is he winning? And then I remember the night of the final run and he won. We were like, I don't even understand, what's going on. You ever been in situations where you be like, you listen to people, you be talking to people, and it's just like things just don't make sense. Like maybe it's a dog whistle that they understand that I don't, but I look at it and I'm like, I don't even understand what's going on. It's been stuff as of lately that I've seen on television and media and social media and things, and everybody else is eating it up, man. It's like a buffet. It's like the golden corral of foolishness, right? And they go eat this stuff up. I'm like, how are y'all eating this, man? This is not digestible material. This is stupid. Like, I don't even consider myself the smartest guy in the world. But then you look at certain things, I'm like, how are people falling for that? Like, is it, are people that, I'm talking about strong people. Like, are you, that, scared to where you think that they're going to tell you something that, because people are not even watching the news right now. Like, you know how many millions and billions of dollars are made off that jab? Billions were made off of that. That tells you right there. And my thing is, just ask yourself this. You can't get nothing free in the medical industry. You can't even get a Band-Aid for free. Right. Why can I go to CVS and get that for free? Yeah. Anything that's free and they giving it away on the street, run.
If someone gives you something for free, you are the product.
That's perfect.
That's the way it is.
That's true to life, bro.
Anything that we get for free, anything that you see that's given to you, especially in 2022, the way capitalism is run right these days,
man, bro.
If you get something for free, you better believe that you are being the product, and something else, some other person or entity is the consumer.
Yeah, and it's
so for Facebook, stuff like Facebook, social media, we get it for free. They're never going to charge us to use that because they're making money off of us. We're the product.
That's true. That's a good point.
Bro, it's like, and with Facebook, man, all the ads that you see.
Yeah.
Because Facebook doesn't charge you a dime, right? How are they making money? They take your data.
By selling you.
Selling you, literally. And because why is their valuation like, it's staggering.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because they selling that data, man. Yep. It's worth more than oil, man. It's worth more than gas. Everything.
Yeah, information is gold.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. It's really scary stuff, man. So, but, that jab, man, that's a whole nother topic. Because it's like, that was a very effective 2-year campaign, as a member. I mean, we have witnessed it.
They learned a lot during that time.
They learned a lot.
I think we all did.
Yeah, we all did. They learned a lot. But, I mean, it does show, I would say, the resiliency of, like, the human spirit. I mean, we're resilient, right? I mean, we watched a lot of death. People lost loved ones. It was a real thing going on. But what was going on, it wasn't what they were calling it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you market something to me to distract me, right? I mean, take, for example, like 5G and the antennas, and then you take the jab, and then the 5G signals activate something in your body. It could be anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's all these different conspiracies, And I'm like, you think like, what's real? But then you also think like, well, where did that come from, though? I mean, we got some great writers out here to do some great films, great movies. You can make up any kind of...
fantastic storytelling.
Yeah, fantastic story. You can make up any kind of theme you want. But sometimes certain things that we see right before our very eyes are rooted in something. I mean, the birth of it is from somewhere, some kind of thought. Right. Even if it could be as asinine as you want to believe it is, and it could be far-reaching. But the reality is it came from somewhere. Right. And it's something that somebody's working on. Right. And we got to stop being the ones last to learn about it. You know, because Negroes, we learn about it 10 years later. Right? Hey, man, I got me a Facebook account. You understand what I'm saying? It's like, huh? What are you talking about, man? Right. You been in a time capsule?
Right.
I've been around. I've worked with guys like that.
Yeah.
Hey, man, you hear about that MySpace, mate? What? What are you talking about?
Man,
you are you that late?
All of a sudden, Stacey Dash. You heard Stacey Dash just found out that DMX died?
Are you serious?
Yes.
She was in tears. She found out like a year later.
Yes.
She's so out of touch, man.
But she was in tears because it's
not even worth talking about.
She found out later.
That is fascinating.
That's wild, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, where have you been?
Yeah. Like
But I feel like
that's. I'll put like this, man. I put like this. I'd rather not know at all. Like as far as like the social media stuff. Yeah, dude. I'm almost to a point, man. I'd rather be on a remote island, learning how to grow crops.
So here's,
like you said,
here's my only issue with that. I would love that, but here's my only challenge to that. I would say the only way that would work is if you're on a remote island. If you're here in the country and these things are affecting you, then that's something.
I get
me,
that.
I'm like,
I absolutely get that. The thing is, it's like while we are here, what do you do? Right?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
That's what you were saying. Like, it's going to happen. It's not like. I mean, listen. Jesus said, "Make sure that your journey is not in winter." Right? Yeah. I mean, He already told us that this is be prepared. Right? So the whole idea is like constantly. In your mind, well, we're men. We're constantly thinking about that, or at least us, right? We're constantly thinking that, right? Because, like you said, this generation right now, they can't even change a tire, a spare tire on their car. Right. I heard that the other day.
Bro.
You see what I'm saying? It's like, dude, you so worried about your accounts and different things like that, social media accounts and skinny jeans and different things like your Jordans and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like you are so out of touch on reality, but they think that they're in touch with reality. Right. How can you be so delusional? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like in society, the powers that be creating this minutia of thought and control and whatever the case may be is wild.
And then that's something that
is wild.
That point that you just made makes me feel bad as a man who is in the generation ahead of them, because I feel like us who should be their teachers are in a constant fight with the entities or the powers that are causing these distractions, because I'm supposed to be teaching them how to change tires, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's hard to grab their attention because of the distraction.
It is.
I can't even say to you, I taught your boys how to. Well, we taught your boys how to change the tire, and even then they were kind of like,
Yeah.
But that's because their minds are so wired to be like, well, I don't have a screen in front of me. I don't know what to do. I'm not able to press a button and this tire changes. So I'm frustrated now. I'm confused. I got to be outside to do this. You know what I'm saying? And that's literally across the board. This generation.
That's across the board.
You just said it though. Instant gratification, man.
Yeah.
I think it's killing brain cells more than any liquor can.
Absolutely.
Because, like you said, it's like they can't take the time to just figure out. And I kind of blame it on the school system too, because what did they do? They took shop class, right?
Yeah.
They took away art,
Yeah.
they took away music.
Yeah.
The
So
things
true.
that,
Yes.
because when I was in high school at Finney, we had shop class. They showed us how to change brakes.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? They showed us how to do different things that we needed out in the field of life. And then, so I know how to do literally that with my father, my uncles, my grandfathers. I had all that. But I literally know how to do a myriad of things, man. You know, just because I have to know.
Yeah.
Like, I always be frustrated if a dude don't have tools. I'm like, how could you not have tools, man? Like, you know, women got their jewelry. Fellas, we got our tools. And my thing is, I don't knock dudes necessarily if you don't have tools, but have money to get stuff fixed. Because I know dudes that ain't got money and ain't got tools. I'm like, you can't be ready for nothing. Because my thing is, if you get stuck, bro, if you get stuck, you got to figure out how to, you know, if a water pipe blow, you got to know what to do. You got to at least know how to turn the water off, right?
Yeah.
If you have electrical problems, you got to know how to do this and that. So it's just all those little nuanced things that, and I'm talking from the perspective as a man, really. You
So
know,
I have
we as
a question.
Men, yeah.
And I don't mean to cut you off, but I wanted to meet that point right quick.
Yeah.
How do we, and I don't mean just us four, but I'm saying how do we as men who have this knowledge, this foresight, this understanding, how do we help them to realize that they don't know what they don't know? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because a person might not even consider the fact that hey, if something happens, I'm not gonna know what to do. They might not even consider that something could happen. I'm in a house. I'm living in a house. It was built by professional builders. Why would I ever expect for the water pipe to blow?
That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
That's an excellent point. I think you have to, with anything, with teaching anybody anything, you have to put urgency and purpose behind it.
Okay.
So you got to always, like, I love giving scenarios. Like, okay, if you are in a situation, just ask yourself, like, what am I going to do right now? What do I have at my disposal? What can I do with my hands? Let them understand the importance and the significance of their hands and what they can do with their hands, right? So it's because I know what you're saying. Like a lot of these young cats, man. I'm talking about. I sound like an old dude. A lot of these young cats, these young whippersnappers.
Like
understand what I'm saying? Yeah. They don't even know what it's about.
Right.
But yeah, they don't have any clue because I've been around them, man. It's like a deer in headlights when you're talking about. Yeah. You know, being able to work on your car. I mean, there's a lot of things I know how to do just working on my vehicles because I just had to. Because I'm like, I don't want to pay a mechanic $800 for brakes. Do you know how easy brakes are to do?
Right.
I mean, they're like, dude, I can do it like in 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So, but then if you don't know, you got to pay $800 to do front pads and rotors. So as a man, you know, you want to just arm yourself with this knowledge. That's why I say, and I like the question you initially posed, is like, what are our immediate threats? But then I like what you said about distraction. Because it distracts. I think things are positioned now, man, to distract men from being men. That's how serious it is.
For sure.
And then the men that are distracted from being men are buying into the woman revolution. Think about all the dudes right now, man, that hated Kamala, Vice President Harris when she was coming into office, right? They hate any black woman that's doing something. They hate Black Panther 2 that's coming out. They hate the Woman King. But what they do is they buy into, they just trying to lift up women now. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to just fall back. It's like, but that's what they want you to do. They want you to fall back because it is constantly an effort and an agenda to emasculate the man, particularly, you know, us.
Black and brown men.
Particularly. It's like, dude, it's not even covert now. You know it. It ain't even covert now, man. It's like all out there, man.
It hasn't been covert in a long time.
Exactly. I mean,
last
dude,
30, 40 years.
Any black film that come out now, you either have to have somebody that's, I can be careful with my words, somebody that's a Medea,
Okay.
or somebody that's not in a heterosexual relationship. It's almost like it's a requirement. But what that's doing is it's feeding us and making us believe that this is the way life is supposed to be. Anybody that's coming behind us, that's what they're going to believe. And so, like you said, what is our responsibility? How do you put urgency behind certain information about, like, you know, having tools and things like that? They have to see us as an example first, because that's literally how any of us have what we have.
Absolutely.
We had our fathers, our grandfathers, our uncles, other older cousins, any of that. So, you know, because I did the Boys and Girls Club one time.
Okay.
You know, I asked for a particular type of kid, and they gave me something else. Because I'm like, you know, he was a good kid, but I couldn't really work with him, right?
Okay.
But I wanted to, like, impress upon him certain things. I hope, you know, some of that landed. You know, but we just have to be that example. And then we don't even have to work hard, man. Yeah. Because when I'm in certain places, it be people just looking at you. You don't even know you don't even know that they're looking at you. Right. And just how you move, how you chew your food, how you style yourself.
Yes. Yeah.
People are looking at all that. So my thing is, we have to position ourselves, because I would love to bring, like, young fellows on a site and see you, because you look young still. Yeah. Like, dude, this dude young. Look at all he doing. Like, this is his business. I'm like, yeah, that's my guy Mike. This is what he's doing. You know how to use tools. You know how to climb a ladder, fix stuff. We have to have that.
Did you just say I just look young?
No, I'm just saying. I'm talking about, dude, you look like you in your early 20s.
Yeah. I appreciate
that.
You know
Seriously. I'm not going to gas you too much, but I'm just saying, if you could pass.
Right.
You know, I personally cannot pass. People look, man, I was with my wife one day, and the dude was like, hey, are y'all grandparents? You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And we were insulted. We was like, I mean, we look that old.
It's just the gray, man. Your face is young.
That's what I'm saying.
It's just the gray.
Yeah. So, but it's dudes out here, man. And I'm really focusing on the dudes, because we're supposed to be the pillars of society.
Sure.
Right? And honestly, because I've been around a lot of women, you know, and I've talked to women, and women really just want, like, stand-up dudes that know how to do stuff. Like, they don't want to have to just be driving some dude around, you know, like Tyrese and Baby Boy type of thing. They don't, you know what I'm saying? They don't want some dude they got to drive around, they got to feed him, they got to clothe him, they got to work while he's at home, you know, chilling. Yeah, burp him, you know, warm his bottle, baby, you know what I'm saying? They want a dude that they can lean on. But like you said, a lot of dudes don't know that. They didn't have that example. And I try and sympathize with that, man. Because I feel like I was spoiled. Like, my brothers and I, we had our father. Excellent example of how to be a man. How to be just a good human being. But then how to be a man and how to take care of your wife and kids. Then try and be a good example to your sons particularly. He showed us all of that. You know, we're all kind of modeling ourselves after him. We all do things outside of our full-time job, you know, businesses and things like that. We did everything he did. Yeah. But we had that, though. And so I try not to take for granted what I had versus what some of the other, because all the dudes I pretty much grew up with that were in school and stuff, they didn't have their father. And I saw the results of that from childhood all the way up to the way they grew up, you know. And so
that's important.
Yeah, and I try
to know, man.
Yeah, and I try and be sympathetic, because I always like try and catch myself, because I'd be frustrated when dudes don't have tools. Man. That's like a pet peeve for me. Yeah. Like, why don't you? Because I got a good buddy of mine. Like, I knew him since 4th grade. I'd be mad. I'm like, why don't you have tools, man? Like, he'd be borrowing stuff, and I'll let him do that, but I just be like, you gotta have tools, man. If you have nothing else, you gotta have tools. Because the thing is that having tools not only have you prepared, but then it just lets you know how you can extend your hands and your abilities. You know, it's more than just having tools. You know, it's like, for me, like, I draw, but my pencils are my tools. If I know how to use a camera, that's a tool. But you have to use it because it sharpens your mind in different ways, different aspects. And then you can prepare yourself, and you have this aptitude. You develop an aptitude to really think about certain situations you're going to find yourself in, and how you can MacGyver out that mother. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it's so important to me. And then when we have these immediate threats that we have to consider, and the attack is definitely on us. We always have to assume that the attack is going to be on us first. That's just how the society's been designed. Well, how are we gonna move? I mean, what's the move? I mean, I may not win, but I'm definitely gonna fight. I'm not just gonna lay down and just be like, well, let me get on this phone, man. See what's going on social media before they drop this bomb. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, I'm gonna really think about how can I move?
Strategy.
Yeah, or just how I'm gonna defend myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, really, I'm like, I have a crossbow. Like, if I wanted to put something on the tip, like some fires. I'll be thinking about something like that.
Dip it in some poison.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find some napalm on Amazon.
Right. On Amazon. Right.
So yeah, you got to think about how you gonna move, man. I mean, it's imperative. It's just, and I say make it fun. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Go online, look at other people doing it. There's a couple of people I follow, man, that they're like end of the world type dudes, and they have some really good ideas of how to look at things, man. Sure. I mean, you know, if or when things collapse, what options do you have? Right. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, that's just something to just kind of think about. You know, I feel like I've talked way too much.
I have a question about so I just want to make sure that we clarify, because you made a point about the I'm not gonna the modern feminist movement. Because
Exactly.
let's be honest, it's not that's not really what qualifies as feminism.
Right, I agree.
But I do want to clarify for anybody watching that what you were referring to, and you can speak to it on your own because you're the one that said it. But I just want to make sure that it gets said that this modern feminist movement is not what you were speaking out necessarily against. It's more about the emasculation of the black and brown man.
Yeah, it's how dudes allow themselves to kind of fall back when they think that that's what they're seeing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, no, I have no problem with that.
Right.
I actually am in firm support of particularly the black woman being empowered and being able to make her own decisions and working independently for herself, things like that. I love all that stuff. I have no problems with that.
Right.
But I do have a problem with we as men if we just kind of fall back and allow the ladies to do, I'm gonna let her do her thing. She don't need me. You understand what I'm saying? I'll be making what I'm doing over here. And people be in marriages like that. People be in competitions in marriage like, well, I'm gonna just fall back. She making 6 figures, I'm making 5, so I'm gonna kind of fall back. I'll be a stay-at-home dad. No diss to stay-at-home dads. No diss to that. That's just my disclaimer. However, it's just one of them things where we can't allow ourselves to fall into these, and I'm not even a whole like gender roles thing. I'm not even talking about that. This is how we conduct ourselves as men. What does that mean nowadays?
Right.
What does that mean to us as men?
To be a man.
To be a man. What does it even mean? Because it ties into everything that we can ever talk about with our experiences, our walk, how we need to prepare for things, how we eat, how we breathe, how we appear. And so that's why I like that discussion all the time, because it has definitely changed from our grandparents, our grandfathers' time.
Sure.
It profoundly has.
Sure.
Because we all had our grandfathers. And so we saw how those men conducted themselves, how they raised big families, and making a fraction probably of what we make now. But they knew what to do as men and how to conduct themselves, how to, network, how to keep a job for 30 years and things like that and not complain about it, But nowadays, everything is like, calling the tech on everything, technical files, So I think it's just imperative, to really focus on having these discussions for we as men, and how we conduct ourselves. But
right.
No, I love the modern feminists, the goals that they have in mind for themselves. Because let's be honest, man, the misogynist society in this country has been horrible to women. I mean, it's pretty bad in other countries, but it's particularly bad here. I mean, in our country, they would have you think that it's not that bad.
Right.
I mean, of course, no, we're not going around throwing acid in women's faces and stuff.
Right.
But we try and break women in such a way. And the term I'm hearing nowadays is gaslighting at work. Everybody's talking about gaslighting. And I had to look it up. So I'm like, what are they talking about, man? You know what I'm saying? We talking about cars. We talking about
right.
So I looked it up, and it's literally talking to someone, making them believe that what they're thinking and what they're talking about is worthless, and turning them on themselves.
Right.
I'm like, that's pretty sick. I'm like, I hope I've never done that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm like, that sounds like it's a discussion. I'm hearing more women talk about it and how they experience it at work. So my thing is, that's just an example of, okay, I understand and I see why women are rising in a certain way for themselves, is to protect themselves, because the level of misogyny and sexism and just whatever you can think of that's negative towards them is even more pronounced now.
Yeah.
So I understand what that is. You know, and we all come from women. I don't even know how you could treat women like that. I mean, if it wasn't for women, we wouldn't be here. So
I have a movement that's meant to build a group of people up. If it's done at the detriment of another group, there's a problem.
I agree, 100%.
Right? If you can't build somebody up for the sake of building them up without tearing somebody else down, you're not doing it right. You're not thinking hard enough.
I agree,
right? Because it's the easiest thing to do, to make a human being feel like they have an enemy in another human being. It takes zero effort to do.
I agree.
So if I got to, build this group up and build them up on hating somebody else, or build them up because somebody else isn't what they're supposed to be, I don't have any use for it personally. So it's like I'm all for building women up, and again, I'm also mindful of, you talking about like the problems in the U.S. specifically. For the longest time, this country, and I'm sure it's not a America-specific problem.
Right. No.
But built men up at the expense of the woman being built up. You built up, masculinity on the backs of women.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it was in a way that it was done where it was building up the man and keeping out the woman.
Yeah.
So that was a problem too, right? So I don't want to talk about feminism being bad in that regard without first calling out that even the way they built up men was wrong, because you could have done it in a way where you build up anybody that's capable of doing certain things. It didn't have to be where you tear down a woman to build up a man. But that's what they did.
Yeah.
So now seeing women kind of come back and recompense what they've seen, I don't necessarily blame them for it.
Yeah, right.
But are we trying to get better, or are we just going to keep going back and forth? Because we can keep doing tit for tat all day long.
I agree.
Eye for an eye, the whole world's going to be blind kind of thing. So it's like, okay, at some point, I get that. I get that they're kind of returning and recompensing what they've seen.
Yeah.
But at some point, we got to decide, okay, we're going to be better and realize the mistakes of the past and determine we're not going to repeat them.
Yeah.
Because, the other part of what you guys are talking about, just the dependency. The other part of the distraction is the dependency.
Yeah, I agree.
And people being, not just men, people being in general less capable now, because I'm sure there's a lot of, I hate to even say like the gender specific roles, but people just being not able to do things they were able to generations ago in any category. You know what I mean?
Right.
That dependency is valuable as well.
Yeah.
And there's huge businesses and money to be made by people not knowing how to do things for themselves and being reliant on somebody doing basic things for them.
Yeah.
I understand specialties and certain trades and things like that, but when there's some basic things you can't get by in life that were considered core and essential a generation ago, is that something that's being taken away for a valuable for a good reason? Is it really something that's distracting and not worth everybody's time to do, or are you taking away a core survival skill to make them dependent on the government or dependent on somebody else giving them a handout or something else like that? And that's when it becomes a problem. I think build people up for the sake of building them up, not to tear somebody else down, and we got to start just being independent. You know what I mean?
I love that.
Yeah.
It's funny that you say that, because I was thinking that I'm all for the being prepared for sure when things probably will go south in the world. But I think I'm good as long as DoorDash stays in business. That's my dependency.
Right.
As long as I can, order a pizza, I'm good with everything else.
But you can definitely cook for yourself, though.
I cannot.
You cannot? Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. I can cook enough to survive. I can't cook to the point, I ain't gonna say I can't.
Yeah.
I haven't built the skill to cook, to make, meals and all that kind of, like, I can heat up some ramen or make a grilled cheese, or like I can eat enough I can cook enough to survive. But as far as my everyday life, brother.
But survival.
You hear that, ladies?
That's my dependency.
But even in that field, survival food, you know what I mean? It's a completely different category. You're talking about the breakdown of society.
Sure, yeah.
Right, and being but I'm saying though, seriously, being able to find and forage for food, even people that can prepare a whole full course meal or whatever else, they're dependent on stores having certain things in stock. Right? You know what I mean?
Right.
So you're talking about like being able to cook. Like if I'm stuck out in the wild and the system is broken down, there are no trucks coming into my city bringing food and supplies in.
Right.
Do you know how to survive in that? And that's a complete.
Now I will say this: I am well capable of hunting and foraging and all that kind of stuff.
That's what we're talking about.
That's what it comes down to.
I don't want to. I still would rather order a pizza.
But you know what? Conveniences, right?
But when you get hungry, though,
bro.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I hear you will eat out the garbage can. When you get hungry enough,
yeah.
So you be looking at like a squirrel, like, sorry, buddy.
But see, here's the thing with that. I think that
you rotate with
an apple in his mouth.
Right. That's what I'm saying, bro. It get that serious.
But here's the thing with that, Al.
Seriously.
We are not accustomed to eating that stuff. There are societies and communities that'll tear up some squirrels that will actually prefer a squirrel over some of the things that we consider delicacies. Squirrels, raccoons, other varmints.
I mess with most things. I will definitely not eat a possum though.
Right.
Possums are just ugly, man.
You know the thing about
looking at you like
they're hideous, man. I hate possums.
They're one of the few things in this whole world that I'm a little bit afraid of. But I just realized, and this is way off subject, but I just found out about 2 weeks ago that possums are not rodents. They're marsupials. Did you know that? They're more closely related to kangaroo.
They got a pouch?
Yeah. They're more closely related to kangaroo than they are to like rats or mice or anything like that. They're marsupials.
I would eat a rat before a possum, though. Because possums, dude, it's just something hideous about. Like, I see them at night, and I mean, they're blind at night, so they're like, I've ran over a few of them.
Yeah.
They'll run under your wheel.
Yep.
But those eyes, man, it's like a ghost, man.
Yeah, they're terrifying.
Yeah. But I'm sorry, I digress.
I know,
we probably ate rat, and we didn't know it.
Oh, man, definitely.
You know what I'm saying?
Somebody
restaurant on the east side, man. But
I was this close to saying this.
But G makes a good point though. Like, okay, rhyming is cool, but if you out in the field, bro, because that's my whole thing again, man, about using tools, man. I know y'all seen that video on YouTube. They fast forward through it. It was a dude. They showed him build like a whole hut, man. Like he dug. So he built a whole. I'm like, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, sure.
Like you got to be able to show, because I mean the elements will get you.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm saying if you're out in the sun and rain and stuff, the elements will get you. So what are we capable of, like right now? Because like we all look like pretty domesticated guys. But I mean, dude, we're like a couple of seconds from turning into animals. You know what I'm saying? Like, if things get tough enough, man, you're looking at like, man, I mean, who's got the most meat on them here?
Right, man.
I mean, like,
That's
desperation
true, though, man.
desperation will turn you into a different. So you got to say to yourself, like, what am I willing? I told my wife, I said, look here, we got our little dog. I said, hey, if it came down to it, I mean, he ain't much.
Right.
You know, but in all seriousness, man, I mean, it's really something we got to think about because, and it's not even like being paranoid or fearful. It's just like,
Being realistic.
Being realistic, being prepared
realistic.
as men, like in your own homes, like defending your homes. Like, what are you prepared to really focus on? You know, how you gonna keep your family calm? You know what I'm saying? All that stuff. So it's just fun to talk.
I think like what you were saying, like this conversation is really, really good because, like, once again, if you are like the man of the house, like you said, you really have to define what a man is.
That's where we're at. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like really define what a man is, and then once you define what that man is, because society will give you. I'll tell you what a man is,
and that's the point I was trying to make.
That's an issue.
That's the point I was trying to make.
That's an issue.
Yeah, it's not like I'm not trying to. I was never trying to dog the feminists.
No, we got it.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's the point. It's like it's just being able to define it with a clear mind.
Yeah.
Forget all the societal stuff because it's real messed up out here.
Yeah.
I mean they calling men women and women men. Now, you know what I'm saying, under certain circumstances. So we can't allow that to define our roles and what we're willing to do as men and how we conduct ourselves.
Exactly.
And that's not like, again, I'm not really into the whole like assigning gender roles.
No, me neither.
You know what I'm saying? Right. But we as men, there's something about our existence that we have to protect. There's certain things that are sacred about being a man. As men, is to protect our manhood and the significance of it. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's, and I really be wanting to talk to dudes that be willing to like just fall back. Because it's a group of dudes out there, man, that are just willing to kind of fall back. And I'm like, you can't let that happen, man.
Right.
You can't let, like, and these dudes be having sons and stuff. It's like, you can't let your son see you just fall back like that. And like the woman in the house is going out there in the field working, and then you're at home, like this. Like, you can't breastfeed or anything. You know, you get certain things that just, whether we want it to be that way or not, certain things that women are better at, a lot of things that men we're just better at. And we need to embrace that and protect it because we got all kinds of different attacks. We always talk about AI and stuff. We got those kind of things that are trying to replace us just as human beings, and then things that are replacing us, trying to replace us as men. So
you said this one point about that, and about men being men, right? And I think what we try to do is protect women for being women. You know what I'm saying? And let me be clear on that. That's why when we talk about identity, we talk about this way back a few months ago. Yeah. That's the reason why we're being stripped of identity, kind of what you're saying about the title placement and different things like that. Yeah. It's very important for us to slow down and that woman need to understand who she is from the get-go. You know what I'm saying? Just as important for me to understand who I am. Right. So let me help you be a woman as you help me be a man. You know what I'm saying? Let's come together, right? And so we can help one another grow and build a society properly, so to speak. But the very moment I put her in a place and in a position where she no longer is fulfilling in society a position, and I'm not saying position like woman know your place. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. Because easily people can say that to me as well. It has nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
It's about, because once again, like you made a great point. There's no way I'll be able to breastfeed. You know what I'm saying? Right. It's like, I think society there's a deficiency, right? There's a deficiency of understanding of the simplicity of being a man and woman. It's simple being a man and woman. But once you strip that simplicity away, like you said, the dependency of these other structures or whatever the case may be, now people going to feel like they're obligated to fill a role. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like, no, like with my wife or whatever the case may be, if she want to work, that's fine. But baby, you know what? I got your back regardless. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? If you want to make a little extra money, that's cool, you know? Yeah. But I never want to make her feel that she has to be something. Yeah. You know what I mean? No, you are somebody. You are something. You are what God has made you to be. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think that society, and hopefully I'm making sense, right? Hopefully I'm hitting the nail right on the head. Because I think what society wants to do is strip us of our identity so they can place what they want you to be in that position. You know,
100%. And then we don't play ball, and then, you know, off with your head, you know?
Yeah, there you go. And that's another thing is you're demonized afterwards, right? Yeah. You're demonized because hopefully I can...
Because there's no such thing as toxic masculinity. That was made up terminology, because being masculine is not toxic. Now you got guys out there that are arrogant jerks and stuff, and they overexert themselves, but there are women that do that too. Yeah, they overexert whatever it is that God has put in them. They've perverted it. You know, men do the same thing, but
anything can be toxic, basically.
Anything can be toxic, but we can't, like the term has been coined, toxic masculinity.
For sure.
Like that's terrible, man.
Yeah, it is, man.
That's like saying a weak woman.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It's insulting because you reduce that person's existence to something that they're not necessarily. You make it a blanket thing. Yeah. You know, so if I'm a man that wants to defend being a man, I'm being toxic. And then you go into the whole cancel argument. Then you can cancel me because I want to be a man. You know what I'm saying? I don't approve of other lifestyles. You want to cancel me because I just want to be a man. I don't want to be anything that's GMO. You know what I'm saying? Genetically modified. Yeah. I just want to be what I was created to be. You know what I'm saying? And see that's being demonized and made into something that's being turned to the darkness. And I'm like, I don't subscribe to that. Yeah. There's so much going on that I know we all can agree we just simply don't subscribe to. There's a lot of stuff I'm seeing in film and television, and I'm like, they could push it to me, they could sell it to me, but I don't subscribe to it, and I never will.
But check this out, Al. When you're saying that, it's like have you noticed that is even more items that's added?
Yeah.
Right? You know what I'm saying? Like what you said, toxic masculinity. Yeah. And you have all these titles, his, hers, and different things like that.
Freaking human action figures now, guy. You get all these accessories.
And that's what I'm saying. Like how much more emphasis on things that doesn't really bring life. It actually brings more. You understand what I'm saying? Like we're adding more things to our society and
rushing us to our demise.
That if I can say it, how can I get it out of my mind? Right? You know, it's the more you add. Put like this: being a man is actually simple. You know, of course we have difficulties of making money, building houses, different things like that. That's a given, right? Yeah. But let me take a step back. Let's look at a woman for a minute. Like me, I love women. I do. My wife, I love my wife. Yeah. My mother, man, the woman can do so much stuff, man. You remove a woman out of the equation, a man he hit. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like seriously, if you move a woman out of the equation, a man is done. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
The woman, when you go back to the woman power movement or whatever that's going on right now, the modern day woman power movement now, and when you see that we're flooded with so much I'm trying to be careful with my words, right? Because I don't want to seem mean at all, because it has nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
It's like now they have to make themselves greater than what God has already made them to be. You see what I'm saying? It's like, that's unnecessary. You know what I'm saying? It's unnecessary. Like, who is telling you that you are nothing, which we know, like, society has set that up, right? But that's the reason why, and I think differently, right? Like, just for instance, like, if somebody called me a nigger, right? I said that, me and you was talking, like, it's about your response to that word.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Is it a hard thing to if somebody tells you that? Of course it's a hard thing, right? But it will be my issue if I made that word flesh and blood. It's my issue. It's me. I bought into that word. Yeah. I'm the one that gave that word life. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's the same thing when it comes to now women, say your name and stuff like that. It's like, no, hold on, know who you are. And once again, maybe I'm from another planet. Maybe I think a little bit differently, right? But I'm not going to allow certain things like that to distract me from my goals in being a better person. Like you said, how do we do better? The very moment someone calls me out my name, am I going to strip everything down because somebody called me a word? No, I know who I am. I know what God is making me. Yeah. And therefore, I'm not going to allow nothing to deter my path from that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I agree with that. And that's the same thing with these movements. Now we putting so much energy and power in these movements, right? That it's deteriorating. Like you said, it's a deficiency on life. It's a deterioration. And now we're adding more and more features to things that don't even mean nothing. Yeah. And now we no longer understand what a man is. We don't even know what a woman is now. Yeah. Because we've been bamboozled and we've been drowned out with so many things, man, Yeah. And like I said, maybe I'm from another planet.
No,
maybe
I see what you're saying.
It
makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. I think that overdoing it is basically what you're getting at. Overdoing it, pushing it to the absolute extremes, so much to the point where it causes you to be secluded from the rest of the world. So, for instance, like you said, the feminist movement or the LGBT movement or any of the Black Lives Matter movement or any of these other things, when you take a stance, that's important, right? I have to stand up for who I am. I have to stand up and protect myself, my community, my family, so on. But when I take it to the point where it isolates me from everyone else because I'm so engulfed in what I think about me, then it becomes a problem. And I think that's kind of what you're getting at. And I agree with you 100%.
It's a problem, man. Yeah, man. It's crazy.
That's an excellent point. And it definitely goes back to what G was saying about playing something up at the expense of another group.
Yes.
That's ultimately what has happened.
Yes.
So all this crazy stuff we're seeing is definitely a response to a seed that was planted many moons ago.
Exactly.
However, it's just gotten out of hand.
Yeah.
So everything's gotten out of hand. Now it's just waging war between genders, between races, between ideologies, creeds, all that stuff.
Yep.
Everything that this country has in their constitution that they don't want to speak against is happening.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so it is just should be our objective again as how we conduct ourselves. This is men. This is pillars in society. Just keeping a level head and being prepared for whatever comes our way the best that we can. Educating ourselves, arming ourselves with the proper amount of knowledge. You don't want to overdo that either because then you'd be like, man, I'm crazy. You know what I'm saying? You get too much going. You're like, man, I am out of my mind. I'm ready to do some crazy stuff. You don't want to do too much, but you want to have just enough to where you're like, I got an idea of what might be going on, and I just want to be mindful.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's just that's what I'm talking about.
It's keep a level head.
Listen, Al, that's exactly what I'm talking about. It's like, it's not that these things don't exist, right? It's not that these things haven't evolved.
Yeah.
Because it's someone that's planting the seed and someone is watering it become this, right?
Yeah.
It's up to us, right, to really recognize, I see what they're doing, right? But I'm not going to allow myself to succumb to those powers or whatever the case may be. You know what? I'm going to think better.
Yeah.
I'm going to grow better. And you know what? If it's a child that come to me, let me teach him better. Yeah. If it's a brother or a sister that needs help, let me help them. Let me help them not to go down that path. Yeah. I'm not going to tell them what to do. Right. But I'm going to tell them how to think about it. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to tell them to be cognizant of those evils or whatever the case may be. I think that's how we become better.
Right.
Better people.
Well, that's the purpose of the whole podcast, is to share perspectives from, not trying to put ourselves on the pedestal, but I think our perspectives are valuable, to whether it's to a certain sect of people or to society at large. But we're following that exact framework. It's just saying, okay, well, how about instead of focusing on, the social media, the general mass media, the distractions of the world, how about instead of focusing on those things, how about thinking about it in a way that is a little more, and I hate to use the word primal, but that's really what it is. How about thinking about it in a way that's more primal, more basic, because life is a lot simpler than what we've made it.
Yes.
As far as understanding,
I got you, bro.
Who I am, my since we're on the topic, understanding my manhood, my masculinity, that's a primal thing. You know what I mean? We can go back to the beginning of mankind and start to get an understanding as people found their place in society and in their homes. That was happening long before any of us was even thought about. And I think that's what we're doing, is just kind of sharing that in this moment. And I think that's super valuable for whoever might take a listen,
I think that's great.
I think it's needed, man.
It's definitely necessary.
It's needed.
Because, we have influence in our homes and over our children and those type of things, or with our children, not necessarily over our children. But it's important to be able to share perspectives outside of our home. This is why we have friends. This is why we have podcasts, and we go to church, and we go have friend groups at work and all that kind of stuff. It's because influence is always happening one way or another at all times.
All times.
Yep,
I agree.
And it's important for people who are independent thinkers, whether we right, wrong, or otherwise, to be able to share that so we can continue to glean knowledge from one another. You know what I'm saying? Because I can be wrong, but then once I share my perspective, you can come back and say, "Hey, bro, I appreciate that, and I see how you think, and that gives me some understanding into how you think. But how about looking at it this way?" And I'll be like, "Oh, yeah, you're right." I love having those conversations. When I'm wrong, you right, I'm wrong. I mean, and vice versa. Say the same thing.
I got no problem being wrong, because I'm always learning. So
exactly.
We don't have every answer. Man, so
that's right. It's about being dedicated to lifelong learning. And that's what it mostly boils down to.
And knowing that person care enough to tell you the truth. And that's the key too. Like and once again, we said this a couple weeks ago about being straight up abrasive, painfully honest, right? Yeah. And that's one thing that with ourselves. With ourselves. With ourselves. Because once you understand that, and a lot of people say, "Well, I am honest with myself." Come on, man. Like, we do a great job at lying to ourselves sometimes.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? We do a great job at that. But
we're the best at it.
Yeah, man. Right. Hey, every man is right in his own eyes, right? That's what the scripture says. Nobody can trick you better than you. So if you're abrasively honest, painfully honest with yourself, man, dude, you're going to be honest with the next person. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be honest, just like, look here. And another thing is, I think people are afraid of rejection a lot of the times, and people afraid of the impact of I guess the rebuttal or I guess getting beat up by words.
That's what makes control so easy. Because it's very predictable, right? And people's need to be accepted and included is core to some people's nature, most people's nature, right? So they know, like, the second you can ostracize something that's not beneficial to the powers that be, you got them. You know what I mean? You got them. So the more they can make it not mainstream, conspiracy theory kind of thing, whatever. If the second you can make something not mainstream and you can get ridiculed for it, then people are gonna move away from it, and that's again, powers that be know that, and they know the second that this, okay, we don't want this mentality to persist. How do we go about it? Tease them. That's basically pick on them for it. You know what I mean? Make them feel outside the norm. Make it where that's laughable, and everything else that we want them to do is what's acceptable. And people fall in line. Become their own policemen, become their own prison guards. You know what I mean?
Wow, that's true, bro.
So I have a question. Do we have time to kind of... Okay, so what you just said...
Thank you. you.